My fiancé walked in with another man and said, "We were going to tell you eventually." He looked at me and smirked, "Guess you're not good enough." I didn't say a word. I just packed a bag and left. 3 weeks later, she was outside my sister's place screaming, "Please." I made a mistake. I, 29M, found my fiancé cheating last Friday. Just like that, everything I thought I knew came crashing down. My fiancé, 27F, and I had been together for 4 years, engaged for 8 months. We were supposed to get married in September. We've been living together in an apartment for the last 3 years, which is under both our names, but I pay 70% of our rent since I make more. I was coming home early from work on Friday. My boss let us out at 3 p.m. because we finished a major project. I texted my fiancée that I was grabbing some takeout and wine to celebrate, but she never responded. Figured she was busy at work. When I walked in the door at 3:45 p.m., I heard laughter from our bedroom. Then I heard a man's voice. My stomach dropped. I walked toward the bedroom and pushed the door open. My fiancé was sitting on our bed with this guy, tall, athletic build, the type who looks like he lives at the gym. They weren't in a compromising position, but they were sitting way too close, her hand on his arm. When she saw me, her face went white. "You're home early," she said, like that explained anything. I just stood there waiting for an explanation. That's when she said those words I'll never forget. "We were gonna tell you eventually." I must have looked confused because she continued, "This is my coworker. We've been seeing each other for a while now." The guy, who I'd never seen before, actually smirked at me and said, "Guess you're not good enough." I didn't yell. I didn't throw things. I just felt this cold, calm clarity wash over me. In that moment, I knew exactly what I had to do. "How long?" I asked. "Does it matter?" She replied. "For months," the guy answered for her. "Since the Christmas party." For months, while I was planning our wedding, while we were picking out venues and tasting cakes and discussing our future. For months, I turned around and went to our closet, pulled out my duffel bag and started packing essentials, clothes, toiletries, laptop, important documents. My fiancé followed me, suddenly panicking. "Wait. What are you doing? Let's talk about this." I didn't look at her. "There's nothing to talk about. You can't just leave. This is your home too." I finally looked at her. "Is it?" I grabbed my phone, wallet, keys, and walked out. The last thing I heard was her calling my name as I closed the door. I drove to my sister's place. She lives about 30 minutes away. When I told her what happened, she immediately cleared out her spare room for me and poured me a drink. That was 2 days ago. I've been ignoring all calls and texts from my fiancé. She's blown up my phone. First angry that I just left, then confused, now pleading for me to come home so we can fix this. Fix what exactly? The fact that she's been cheating on me for a third of our engagement. That she brought her affair partner to our home, our bed, that she only planned to tell me eventually. I called my boss yesterday to request a week off, which he approved. I've contacted a lawyer about the lease situation, and I've been making a list of all my things still at the apartment. I'm staying at my sister's place right now. Been switching between rage and complete emptiness. When I try to sleep, my brain just keeps replaying that smirk on his face. I know I can't go back. Not ever. Has anyone dealt with something similar? What did you do about the apartment lease? The wedding deposits? The fucking betrayal? Update 1 week later. First, thank you to everyone who commented on my last post. Your support kept me going this past week when everything felt impossible. Special thanks to those who shared similar stories. Knowing I'm not alone in this has been strangely comforting. A lot has happened in the week since I left. Here's where things stand. After crashing at my sister's for the weekend, I called our landlord on Monday morning and laid out what happened. We've always gotten along well. I've fixed stuff around the building instead of bothering him for every little thing. He said he'd let me out of the lease without penalty if I find someone to replace me. The ball's in my ex's court now. She can get a roommate, move out, or figure out how to cover $1,850 per month on her own. On Monday, I went back to the apartment while my fiancé was at work to gather my belongings. My sister and 2 of my closest friends came with me for support and as witnesses just in case. We loaded everything I wanted to keep into my friend's truck: clothes, personal items, the TV and game system I bought, kitchenware that was mine from before we moved in together. I left all the furniture we'd purchased jointly and anything that was a gift to both of us. I changed my mailing address, removed myself from all utility bills, and transferred my portion of a security deposit to my fiancée, officially washing my hands in the apartment. The ring was a different story. It was my grandmother's, a family heirloom passed down to me. When we got engaged, my mom was hesitant about giving it to my fiancé, but I insisted she was the one. Turns out mother's intuition was right. I found the ring in my fiancé's jewelry box while collecting my things. She hadn't even been wearing it. While packing, I discovered something else: a hotel receipt from February for Valentine's Day weekend, a weekend she told me she was on a girls' trip with her friends. The receipt showed a king room booked under her affair partner's name with her as the second guest. They'd been planning romantic getaways while I was planning our wedding. The wedding itself has been fully cancelled. I contacted our venue, caterer, and other vendors. Most were surprisingly sympathetic once I explained the situation, though I still lost some deposits. My best man helped me create a message that I sent to all the guests who had already received save the dates, briefly stating that the wedding was off. I didn't include details, but word has gotten around anyway. Now for the messier part. My ex has been blowing up my phone nonstop. First text: "You're seriously just leaving? Fuck you for not even talking about this." Next day: "Maybe if you weren't working 60 hours a week and actually gave me attention, this wouldn't have happened." By Sunday night: "Baby, please come home. I fucked up. I don't even like him. Please just talk to me." When I blocked her number, she started calling from her friends' phones. Then Tuesday, my coworker messaged that my ex was in our office lobby making a scene. I didn't even go downstairs. Just texted my team lead what was happening. 15 minutes later, she texted that some guy from security walked her out, and she was never this humiliated. The next day, my sister called while I was at lunch. My ex had shown up at her door. My sister told her I wasn't there, and that she needed to leave or she'd call the cops. Apparently, my ex sat in her car down the street for almost 2 hours before finally leaving. Yesterday, she somehow found out which coffee shop I go to every morning and ambushed me there. She was crying, mascara streaming down her face, causing a scene in front of everyone. She grabbed my arm and begged me to listen, saying she'd made the biggest mistake of her life and would do anything to fix it. I simply told her, the time to fix it was before you spent 4 months sleeping with someone else, and walked out. What's been really revealing is how our social circle has split. Some mutual friends are saying I should at least hear her out. Others are firmly on my side and have cut contact with her completely. 2 couples we were close with admitted that they suspected something was going on, but didn't know how to tell me. Her parents called me yesterday. They've always liked me, and her dad was in tears apologizing for raising a daughter who would do something like this. I told him they had nothing to apologize for. They didn't make her choices for her. As for me, I'm moving forward one day at a time. I found a month-to-month rental that I can move into next week. My lawyer advised me to keep all evidence and communications in case my fiancé tries to make claims against me. He doesn't think she has any grounds, but better safe than sorry. The hardest part has been accepting that the person I thought I knew, the woman I wanted to spend my life with, never really existed. That's going to take a lot longer to process. I'll update again if anything significant happens, but for now, I'm focused on rebuilding my life. Thanks again for all the support. Update 2, 3 weeks later. I wish I could say things have calmed down, but they haven't. If anything, the situation has gotten even more intense. First, the living situation. I've moved into my new place. It's small but clean, and most importantly, it's mine. I've been gradually buying furniture and making it feel like home. My friends have been amazing, helping me move, bringing over home-cooked meals, checking in regularly. I didn't realize how many people truly cared until I needed them. Now for the drama. Last Friday, I was at my sister's for dinner when someone started pounding on her door around 9 p.m. It was my fiancée, ex-fiancée, completely hysterical. She was screaming, "Please, I made a mistake," loud enough for the whole neighborhood to hear. My sister tried to get her to leave quietly, but she refused. She kept shouting that she needed to talk to me, that I was being cruel by ignoring her, that I owed her a chance to explain. When my sister threatened to call the police, my ex actually shoved past her into the house. I was in the kitchen, and suddenly she was there. Mascara streaked down her face, looking like she hadn't slept in days. Before I could react, she launched into this story about how her affair was just physical, how she'd been confused, how her coworker had pursued her relentlessly, but she'd realized I was the one she truly loved. The whole time she was talking, all I could think about was that smirk on his face in our bedroom. Guess you're not good enough. I told her calmly that she needed to leave. She refused, becoming more hysterical, knocking a glass off the counter that shattered across the floor. That's when my sister called the police. When they arrived, my ex tried to paint herself as the victim, claiming we were keeping her from getting her belongings. The officers quickly figured out the situation, especially when neighbors confirmed she'd been screaming outside for nearly 20 minutes before barging in. They escorted her out with a warning about trespassing. The next day, I received a shocking email from her affair partner. Apparently, my ex told him she was breaking things off to fix her relationship with me. He wasn't happy about it and decided I deserved to know the whole truth. He attached screenshots going back to mid-November, almost 6 months, not the 4 months since the Christmas party he'd thrown in my face, texts about meeting up at a hotel while I was on that business trip to Denver. Explicit stuff I scrolled past. But what really gutted me were dozens of messages where they laughed about me, my proposal, which I spent months planning, my excitement about our future. They had fucking inside jokes about how clueless I was. Found a text from January about a week after I put down $2,200, non-refundable, on the lakeside venue she had fallen in love with. Her, he's all excited about the venue deposit. Him, clueless idiot. Her, keeps talking about our perfect day face vomiting. Him, that he thinks you're his soulmate or some shit. Her, literally said that yesterday, skull. I forwarded everything except the explicit images to my lawyer, then blocked the affair partner's email. I don't know if he sent these to her or me, but either way, it confirmed I'd made the right decision. Thursday night around 11:30, my phone rang with some random number. Half asleep, I answered. Big mistake. It was her, completely unhinged. Between sobs, I pieced together that she'd been called into HR that afternoon and fired. Apparently, their company has a strict policy about relationships between team members that they both ignored. Someone sent HR screenshots of them making out in the supply closet during a company event. Her first assumption, I did it for revenge. She accused me of sabotaging her career for revenge. I told her I had nothing to do with it, which is true. I never contacted her workplace, but she didn't believe me. She said I'd ruined her life and hung up. Then I received a group text from her mother to both of us begging us to sit down with a mediator to talk things through for the sake of 4 years together. I politely declined, explaining that there was nothing left to discuss. What's become clear is that my ex isn't sorry she cheated. She's sorry she got caught and lost control of the narrative. She wanted to keep seeing this guy while stringing me along until she decided which of us she wanted. Now that her plan has blown up, she's desperate to get back the security she had with me. As for me, I'm still processing everything, but I'm also moving forward. I've returned to work, joined a gym, and even agreed to set up my friend has been pushing. I'm not ready to date yet, but it felt good to know that possibility exists in the future. The ring is safely back with my mother, who hugged me for about 5 minutes straight when I gave it to her. Sometimes, I still wake up reaching for someone who isn't there. But then I remember those text messages mocking me while I planned our wedding, and any doubts I have about my decision disappear. I'll update again when there's closure to this whole situation. For now, I'm taking it one day at a time. Final update, 6 months later. It's been a while since my last update, and I think this will be my final one. This chapter of my life is finally closing, and I'm ready to move on completely. The last 6 months have been a journey, to say the least. Here's where everything stands now. My ex finally stopped the harassment campaign after one last epic meltdown. She somehow tracked me to my new place, later found out my cousin accidentally let it slip at his barbershop where her brother also goes. Showed up drunk at 1 a.m., banging on my door and calling me every name in the book, then crying, then threatening to call the cops herself, claiming I had her stuff. My neighbor recorded the whole thing. Next day, I paid a lawyer $350 to send her a cease and desist with the video attached. That finally did it. Haven't heard from her directly since. My buddy Jake, who still occasionally runs into my ex's roommate at the gym, updated me back in August. Apparently, my ex and the coworker actually tried to make go of it, moved in together and everything. That lasted about 5 weeks before she caught him with their HR rep, yeah. The same one who handled their workplace discipline. Jake said she went ballistic, trashed his Xbox, and moved back to her parents' basement. Can't say I felt anything except mild curiosity when I heard. Bumped into her at Target in September. Awkward as hell. She looked like shit, all thin and jumpy, kept pushing her cart back and forth like she couldn't decide whether to approach me. Finally said, "Hey," in this small voice I barely recognized. I just said, "Hey," back and kept walking. Weirdest part was realizing I didn't feel much of anything. Not pity, not anger, not that stomach drop I expected. Just mild discomfort like running into a coworker you don't particularly like outside of work. As for me, life has taken some unexpected but positive turns. One strange bright spot in all this, my temporary apartment building was being renovated, and I got chatting with one of the contractors about the terrible drywall work they were doing. Turned out, he was the owner of the construction company, and they'd been burned by their project manager. We got talking about my background in construction management. And by the end of the conversation, he'd offered me a job. Been working there since July, better money. Actual 40-hour weeks instead of 60+, and I'm not chained to a desk all day. Back in July, I ran into my sister's neighbor at a small venue downtown. She was there for the same obscure post-rock band I love. We got talking during the break. Turns out she remembered me from the night of the Screaming Banshee, her words for my ex's meltdown. We exchanged numbers, got coffee a couple times, then beers, then dinner. Started dating in August. It's only been a few months, but it's so different. We actually talk about difficult stuff without it turning into a blame game. Small thing. She asked me directly what my boundaries were about her guy friends. Seems so simple, but my ex would have made me feel like a controlling asshole for even bringing it up. I've also reconnected with friends I'd lost touch with during my relationship. Looking back, I can see how my ex had slowly isolated me from people who are important to me. One of those friends recently told me, "It's good to have the real you back." I'd written off the $2,200 venue deposit as just another tax on this whole mess. But last month, the venue manager called me out of the blue. They'd had a cancellation for a fundraiser for kids with cancer, and they'd applied my non-refundable deposit to cover that event. Sent me a tax receipt and everything. Told me some of the kids and their families had an amazing day by the lake. First time I'd smiled about anything wedding related since this all went down. Yeah. I still get hit with waves of anger sometimes. Mostly when I remember specific moments, her excitement about wedding cake tastings while she was texting him, the Christmas gift she got me while they were already hooking up for fucking years, and I don't know how much was real anymore. But I dodged a bullet. Could have been divorce papers instead of a broken lease. Could have had kids caught in the middle. My buddy from college is going through exactly that right now. Saw my ex at a distance at a mutual friend's birthday last month. She looked rough, but I felt nothing much. Just a vague sadness for what could have been if she'd been the person I thought she was. Not gonna lie and say it's all sunshine now. Some days still suck, but most don't. Got a better job, a smaller but nicer place, and I'm seeing someone who doesn't make me feel like I'm always one mistake away from being replaced. That's pretty much it. Just another guy who found out his fiancée was cheating, walked away, and lived to tell about it. Edit, since a lot of people are asking, yes. The ring is safely back with my mom. No. I never found out who tipped off HR about them. Wasn't me, but karma's funny like that.